Well,
Good
good
morning,
morning.
everyone.
Sorry, Lily. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our natural living workshop with community herbalist Lily Cunning. We are always greatly appreciative of her sharing her time and her expertise with us. Today, she's going to be talking about holistic cancer recovery. And I am not going to take any more of your time, Lily. I will keep an eye on the chat room, though.
Wonderful. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Lily. I am an herbalist. I talk about myself as a community herbalist, but I am clinically trained. Um, and that has allowed me to help people in a small word of mouth practice, but also teaching classes. And that has been really my passion to help people through education. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen real quick. There it is. Can everybody see it? Okay, great. Let me just move some of these menu bars out of the way because it just keeps me from being able to see my own thing. All right. Um, so the thing that uh, I want to stress here is that a lot of this information isn't going to be new to you, but it might be new in how it's presented or, how emphatic I am about certain things. Holistic cancer recovery is, from a holistic viewpoint, sort of taking the body from a place of supreme imbalance, right? Illness is imbalance in a holistic mindset. And, tipping those scales so that they're more even again. And the way that we do that is we're very rigorous about making sure that we provide everything the body needs to rebuild itself. Um, and we're also going to talk about your emotions and your spirit as well, because those are all the same thing. Your body, mind, and your spirit are all one thing in a holistic system. And so we'll talk about that a little bit too. What we're going to cover today is just the meaning of what I talk about holistic, because people throw that word around and it's not necessarily clear what people mean. So I'm going to define it for us. We're going to talk about diet and nutrition. We're going to talk about movement for all bodies. We're going to talk about how to manage stress, because stress definitely leads to more illness or, at the very least, slower recovery times. We'll talk about that mind body connection, and we're going to talk about detoxification. And when I say that, I am talking about removing toxic chemicals from your life. Toxic chemicals that are carcinogens, that are endocrine disruptors, that are uh, chemicals that cause neurological problems, getting rid of them because they are present in all of our lives and we can reduce that. Then we're going to talk about finalizing that balancing through supplements. You know, from my viewpoint as an herbalist, the herbs are there and other kinds of supplements like vitamins and minerals and fish oil and things like that. Those are all there to really help you tip the scales after you've sort of implemented a lifestyle that promotes well-being. And then I'm going to give you some resources to get started. After this session, Darlene is going to email you this presentation and it has embedded links in it. So anything I talk about where, you can go somewhere and look at something or research something, those links are in this and you'll be able to get to them. So I'm an herbalist. I have a small clinical practice. I teach classes and I also formulate for Haven Herbs that allows me to be here today. They are a worker-owned herbal apothecary. We live in West Virginia. Our farm is here in West Virginia, but I used to live in Columbus. I had a little brick and mortar shop in Columbus back in the day. And that's how I found out about Cancer Support Community in Central Ohio, actually. So very grateful to have found you and referred many people to Cancer Support Community because of the wonderful work that you do. So let's talk about holistic health. So it is twofold. First, when you on the right hand side, we talk about the body itself being interconnected. Now, if you think about how modern medicine kind of carves itself out specialties right? You see an oncologist for cancer, you see an endocrinologist for your endocrine system, you see, you know, um, a podiatrist for your feet. Everything is very separated and specialized, and that is not what holistic medicine is. Holistic medicine looks at the big picture and tries to connect the dots. Um, and I prefer it because a lot of times people are experiencing what they see as disparate symptoms. um and when I do intakes, for example, like I have a big intake form. It takes about 20 minutes to fill out, and it asks you about a lot of different things. And it helps me to connect those dots, because sometimes the thing that you think is this weird thing that's happening to you is very indicative of the progress of a dysfunction that we can start addressing. um, and so all of our systems are interconnected, right? When I teach the next generation of herbalists, the first system we start on is the digestive system. And when you think about that, it makes sense because it is the first system that gets developed in any organism. First thing that happens is that little tube gets created, right? Our alimentary canal. And everything kind of goes from there, including what we think of as the most important system, the nervous system, right? It all starts in the gut, though. And everything is built out from there. And if you think about our gut, it is innervated, meaning our nervous system starts there and actually develops connections to it. It has 75 to 90% of our immune system is in the gut. And if you look at the endocrine system, there's the HPA axis, which is so important to our overall well-being. It is the mind-body connection um, that involves the entire endocrine system and our hormonal cascade. So everything is connected. And if you start seeing dysfunction in one system, eventually, if it's not addressed and rebalanced, you're going to see it in other systems. So a lot of times when I see my clients, I address digestive health, for example, even if we're dealing with an autoimmune disease that isn't a gut related autoimmune disease. It's not Crohn's, it's not ulcerative colitis, but maybe it's rheumatoid arthritis, or maybe it's lupus. I am still going to address issues in the gut, because when we strengthen the gut and we build digestive fire, it leads to an increase in overall well being, right? We see that as holistic practitioners. When we tonify our systems, we see greater wellness. Now, the other part of holistic health is that image on the left. There's the little person in the middle on their body, mind, and spirit. But think about all of those extending circles. We don't live in a vacuum. Everything that surrounds us, the weather, our relationships, our finances, our job, the culture that we live in, they all have direct impact on our well being, right? And so we have less control over these things, but we still have some. We can make choices that help our overall well being. And so we're going to talk about some of those lifestyle choices today, um, as well as the interconnection of our systems. So that's what I mean by holistic. If anyone has any questions about that, it's a very broad brushstrokey thing because we only have an hour today. But I wanted to make sure that I put that out there so that everyone knows what I'm talking about when I say it. It's kind of like that word clean or natural, right? Like, what do you mean by that? Because there's not a legal definition. So let's first start with food. Um, so we're not talking about weight loss here. That I believe in health at every size. Like this is, and when I talk about detox, I'm not talking about diets. Um, there is no one true diet that works for everyone. I know the internet would beg to differ with me, like, oh, everyone should be keto, everyone should be vegan, everyone, like all of those proscriptive diets. But the fact is that when you are a holistic practitioner, you're looking at that individual and their unique constitution, their unique circumstances, and figuring out what foods they need, right? And it's not the same for everyone. Wow, that would be super easy, but no, it's not like that. And all holistic systems, whether it's Chinese medicine or Ayurvedic medicine or Western herbalism, we all see the same thing. We don't prescribe one uniform diet. It was so funny when I went to acupuncture school in Columbus, actually, there's a school in Columbus. Um, we were talking about food. And there was this one guy who was in my cohort learning acupuncture, who was one of those low fat vegan diets are for everyone. If everyone just ate a low fat vegan diet, everyone would be healthy. And the instructors were just like, okay, let's explain this again, you know? And so it was a process of unpacking belief and putting in like actual data for this guy. Because yeah, a lot of times people sort of evangelize a diet and it's not necessarily good for everyone. So I put on the right-hand side the Mediterranean food pyramid, which under general guidelines, and there's a lot of variation within it, right? Um, these are basic guidelines that are a pretty healthy diet. Now, the bottom is fruits, vegetables, and grains. Very different from the American My Plate idea. So fruits, vegetables, and grains are all there. And the grains, as you can see, it says mostly whole grains. So we're not talking about white rice. We're not talking about bleached flour. Um, but this is the base of your diet. And, you know, I put my favorite quote in here by Michael Pollan: eat food, not too much, mostly plants, right? That is what the Mediterranean diet is all about. When I make food for my family, half of the plate is plant-based. Then a quarter of the plate is some kind of protein. It could be animal protein, it could be, tofu. And then the other part is more, complex carbohydrates that maybe are more fun. Like today, I have this yummy bread that was made. We make our own bread here. It's delicious. So yeah, we have that as our base. And then if you go a tier up, you'll see fish and seafood, right? Mediterranean diet, obviously very close to the ocean. Sadly, not us. We are not close to the ocean. I love seafood. I miss it so much. I lived in California for 20 years. Um, but these are healthier protein choices than if you look up at the very top where it says meats and sweets. Isn't that interesting? They put red meat um, with sweets. Very interesting, different way of looking at food, right? And then above that, we've got poultry, eggs, cheese, and yogurt. So dairy, eggs, and poultry are all in there, right? Not as healthy as fish and seafood, but not nearly as, guilty pleasure as meats and sweets. It's up in there. Now, if you also look, they're like daily physical activity, drink water, and wine in moderation, because it wouldn't be the Mediterranean diet if you weren't drinking some wine. Um, but honestly, wine in moderation helps you to regulate blood cholesterol. It helps you uh, have healthy blood sugar levels when you do it in moderation, not when you binge drink. But there are benefits to drinking wine, particularly red wine is what they're talking about. Um, Now, here are some tips in improving your diet. And when I work with people, we get very specific about what they're eating and what changes could be made. But I'm going to make some broad brushstrokes for everyone who might be in here. Um, Number one, when you're in the grocery store, avoid all the middle aisles. That's all the canned food, all the packaged food, all the pre-processed food, and shop the outside of the store. That's produce, that's meat, that's bakery, that's eggs, that's dairy. The outside aisles are the ones where you get ingredients to make your own food. Um, Also, if you are going to buy something that is pre-made or partially processed, read your labels and understand them. Bread that is in the store often has stabilizers in it, and those are carcinogens, right? Store bread, not great for you. Even the stuff that they make in the store, like they bake it off in the store. Like I know some of the fancier Kroger's and Giant Eagles have a bakery where they bake stuff off. They still have dough optimizers in them because they want them to look good throughout the whole day. Um, Again, making your own food is the number one way of knowing exactly what you're consuming and putting in your body. And I know We live in a system that often does not give us enough time to slow down, to cook, to eat slowly, because eating slowly is also better for you than gulping down your food and going through the drive-through, and all of that is also terrible for your gut. But avoid restaurants and fast food as much as humanly possible. And I mean all restaurants, because every single restaurant is going to put more fat, more salt, more sugar in your food than you would if you were cooking. That's why it tastes so good. um, so avoiding those as much as possible and figuring out a way to be able to provide for yourself. I often advise my clients to do like a meal prep day where, you know, they've got some time on a Sunday afternoon, for example, and so they prep things. They make a salad that they're going to eat on all week. They hard boil some eggs. You know, they prep some crock pot meals so that they can have them when they're coming home from work, things like that. Um, and, you know, don't make the typical American mistake of assuming that something is healthy because it's for sale. Uh, In the United States, there are so few regulations on food, on body care, on things that we bring into our homes. It's caveat emptor. It is the Wild West. You are on your own. There are not enough regulations to protect us as consumers. And the last thing that I want to say is I know that organic food is more expensive. I know that pastured meat is more expensive. It's also healthier for you. And you're either going to pay the farmer now or you're going to pay the doctor later. Processed food, pesticide ridden food, you know, meat that has been fed grain and not been able to move freely in a pasture as opposed to grass fed meat. Um, they're just not as healthy. They're not healthy for the cow or the chicken, and they're not healthy for us as the end user. So definitely think about the quality of the ingredients you acquire. Any questions about food before we move on to movement? Right. So when you are recovering from a life-threatening illness or a life-threatening injury, it can often be difficult to find movement that you can do consistently well. And I am here to tell you, as someone who has gone through, you know, 2 years of full-time disability and working to get better, that there is an activity out there for you. We just need to find it, right? You may need to do less of it in the beginning. You may need to adapt your movements for whatever condition your body is in, and that's okay. Right? The point is to get moving, because movement not only keeps our muscles strong and keeps us flexible, it also regulates our metabolism. We need our metabolism, aka our digestion and our uh, using those nutrients to build our bodies. We need our metabolism back in order to get well faster. So we need to find some movement for you. Now, in my work, I generally work with people who have autoimmune, or they're recovering from cancer, or they're working on fertility. You know, the sticky stuff that people, they try a lot of options and then they come to me when they've tried everything. The thing that I have found for recovering folks or people with disabilities are anything in the water, right? Aqua aerobics or swimming that helps take some of the impact off of joints. It's definitely supportive. Qigong or Tai Chi, they are very slow movements. Now, I will tell you, I thought before I did it that it looked super easy, and how is this even exercise? Oh man, was I wrong? Was I wrong? Especially, so I really love Qigong. Um, and sometimes I follow along on YouTube. There's so many great Qigong practitioners on YouTube. And to do the movement slowly and perfect your movement, it is, I was breaking out in sweats and I was just moving really slow. It's amazing. And I would start with like, if you're going to do Qigong, I would start with the 8 movements of the silk brocade. Those are very easy. It's full body. So like you're getting every part of your body kind of worked out. But it is amazing and it helps not only restore you, but then as you get better, you can kind of incorporate more movements, more difficult movements, get a little further in your stretches. It's pretty astounding. Same with yoga. Now, yoga was not something that I could do because the nature of my injuries meant holding a position was not that great for me. So moving was better for me. But a lot of people have great benefit from yoga. And if you go to a studio worth anything, they will help you with adaptive movements. They will give you bricks or show you what your modified movement should look like. They will work with you. Walking, it's free. Walking is free, and you can go outside and you can be in nature, which has its own benefits for your mind and your spirit. And you can make it as strenuous or as easy as your body needs in that moment, right? You can walk around a track or you can take a hike, right? Walking is, completely up to you. Gardening is another really great form of exercise that gives you tomatoes as a perk. So definitely gardening, getting outside, being in the sunshine, being in the fresh air, listening to the bird song, um, and growing your own food, which it's healthier, right? When you grow it yourself, you know exactly when into it, and you know exactly when to pick it, and you get riper tomatoes than those cardboard things at the supermarket. I'll tell you that. And stretching. Stretching is something that everyone should try and get done every day. When you rise, go through a gentle stretching routine to get you ready for getting up and getting on the go. And sometimes that means having to get up maybe 20 minutes earlier than you normally do. But I will tell you, especially if you live in chronic pain, the stretching is worth it. Doing it in the morning and making sure that your body has your full range of motion before you like get up and take a shower and eat your breakfast and run out the door, right? Have a slow morning. Do what you need to do to have a slow morning that incorporates movement. Um, yeah.
Well, Lily, I need to jump in here and do a commercial for Cancer Support Community.
Mhm.
Of those things that you were talking about, movement, we offer three of them on a weekly basis. So every Monday morning at 7:45, Abby, our yoga instructor, is doing morning breathe and stretch. So it's a great way to start the week off. We have gentle yoga, which Abby is wonderful about making those adaptation recommendations three times a week. And then our Qigong is every week, every Thursday from 10:30 to 11:30 in the morning. So I just had to put that plug in because when you were talking about those classes, I'm like, you know what? There's some fabulous things out on YouTube, but we also got some fabulous instructors here with us as well.
Yes, yes, that's why I love Cancer Support Community. You all have such great programming. All right, so now let's talk about mental health and stress. Um, you are not alone if you have a stressful existence. And 1 in 5 people have a mental health concern in the last year. And a lot of that has to do with how our lives are built, right? Unfortunately, we live in a country that doesn't provide universal health care, right? And so all of our health records are in various places, and we're in charge of making sure we have them all and getting them to our new practitioners. And if you lose insurance, like, yeah, it's awful, right? Dealing with just the medical system is stressful, and then dealing with insurance on top of it is even worse. I know that Cancer Support Community also helps with that, so definitely reach out about that. But also who um, who we choose to associate with, or who is in our lives that we don't have a choice about, can be stressful, right? And what I recommend to my clients is, all right, so if you have a source of stress in your life, identify clearly what it is and identify clearly what you can do, if anything, to ameliorate or change it, right? If there is somebody in your life that doesn't need to be in your life and they cause you a lot of stress and worry, um, you know, put them on pause. Put them on pause for a while, right? Um, if your finances are causing you distress, go see a financial counselor and get some outside perspective on how to get out of whatever situation that you're in. I went to gosh, a long time ago, in the 90s, I went to one of those credit counseling services because I had gotten into debt and then I lost my job and I had to take one that was much less in income. And I was struggling to tread water and they helped me. They refinanced everything for me. So I had just one payment and it was reasonable and it wasn't stressful anymore. But I'll tell you, I went through months and months and months of worry and stress and stomach aches because of it. And there are ways to deal with it. Um, you know, if there is a job that is causing you stress, what is it about that job that causes you stress? Is it a coworker? Is it your, uh, your job description, like the things that you're responsible for doing? Do you have too much? Um, and how, what kind of conversations should you have with the people on your team or your boss or whoever about changing that? Is there a way to get help? And, before you say no, there's no way that anything will change, try. Have an open-ended conversation, not in the moment when things are heated and you're stressed out, but a proactive conversation with someone that isn't a source of stress for you, or about the job that is causing you stress. Is it possible to work from home a couple days a week? Is it possible to go down to part-time for you personally and also for the job? Is it possible for you to get an assistant or to delegate things to a team member? There are so many different things that when you're in the forest, sometimes you can't see all the trees, right? And somebody from the outside may be able to help. So think about also who is on your team. Who is your cheerleader? Who is your support? Who do you call at 3 a.m. when you're freaking out? Who are those people? And if you haven't thought about this before, start, because those are the people that you want to surround yourself with more because they love you, and they support you. And, don't surround yourself as much as possible with those other people who stress you out. So let's talk about the mind body connection. So a lot of people think it's extra or frou frou or woo woo, but a lot of these practices result in better physical health as well as emotional health. And I do not differentiate between emotional and mental wellness and physical wellness. And neither do folks in other holistic systems. When I went to acupuncture school, they have acupuncture protocols for schizophrenia and they cure it, right? In the West, we talk about those kinds of mental illness being a permanent diagnosis. You're going to have to spend a lifetime on medication. And that's not how other systems see it, right? There's a reason that those things happen, and often they are physiological, and there's a way out of it. So the mind body connection is very profound. I don't think we value enough of it in the West, but there are practices that you can do that will speed up your recovery, that will make you more emotionally stable, and help with dealing with all the stress. Mindfulness and gratitude practice, in particular, can reframe our lives for the better, right? Um, if you notice, some of these activities that I list here were also on the movement. You can do a twofer, right? You can do your walking outside rather than in a gym on a treadmill, and you will get the benefit of um, what the Japanese call Shinrin Yoku, right? They go to a place where you can't hear human activity. They go to the forest. It literally translates to forest bathing. Um, you go and you surround yourself with nature, with fresh air, with trees, with bird song. And they've done studies. It accelerates healing. It does. And they've done it with cancer survivors. it accelerates healing when you go forest bathe. So if you're going to go for a walk, you know, take an extra little trip and get to a place where, you don't have to see another person. People are stressful, birds are not. Meditation is also a really valuable practice. And I did put a link at the end of the presentation to Vipassana yoga, or Vipassana meditation rather. And it is the form of meditation where you're not going to beat yourself up if all of a sudden the thoughts keep coming in, right? What it is you just notice. You sit and you focus on your breathing, because the breathing is happening in the present moment. What you're trying to do is to remain present, not focusing on the past, not focusing on the future and that to-do list, right? Being here in the moment. That's what mindfulness is. If you are washing the dishes, that's all you're doing. You're not thinking about, oh gosh, now I have to go to the grocery store. Oh gosh, now, oh, I need a tank of gas, la, la, la. No, you're washing this dish. You're looking at the dish. You're washing it very mindfully and you're putting it in the drainer. Um, Mindfulness and meditation are practices that lead to better emotional and mental outcomes. And it is difficult sometimes to slow down the chatter of the brain. We live in a world that we've created that accelerates the chatter. There's always a screen happening, right? Whether it's our phones or a computer or the TV. And those things like keep you in a brainwave state that is in constant chatter. Driving a car, same thing, right? All of those things take us out of being in the present moment. So deliberately setting time aside to be in the present moment and just observe what is happening, and slowing down, right? We don't slow down as much as we should. And I'm not trying to should anybody. I'm just saying, I'm including me in that, right? Like, we live busy lives where there's constantly go, 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 go. But making time for yourself, making time to be slow, wherever it fits into your day, has vast health benefits. So this could be Vipassana meditation, or it could be the other things that I mentioned here: doing art, journaling, doing breathing exercises, praying, listening to music and being in that moment, right? All of these things help us to be present. And one of the things that I've incorporated, which is super easy, and it's kind of like a 101 for my kid, is before we eat, we all hold hands around the table and we say what we're grateful for right then. We just, yeah, today I'm grateful for this amazing meal. Thank you for making handmade pasta. Oh, I am so grateful to be done with work and now I get to spend time with my family. Just doesn't even matter what it is, but one thing. And I will advise you that this gratitude practice doesn't always come easy. And when you're having a really hard time, and you tend to not be able to find that thing you're grateful for, that is when you need the gratitude practice the most. When you don't meditate and you don't take time for yourself, it's usually because you need it the worst, right? Because you're go, 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 and you're not paying attention to your own self's needs. um, Blocking out time on your calendar to make this happen for you, particularly when you're in recovery, is huge. And it's a win. And it's very important for you to value you and to take that time for you. Any questions about mindfulness before we move on to detox?
Well, if anybody has questions, definitely unmute or use the chat. But again, Lily, I gotta plug some of cancer support community things. We have a yoga nidra class, which is a great mind-body connection class, twice a month. Mindfulness is twice a month, and we're doing a journaling workshop quarterly. So just some more programming that we're able to offer off of that fabulous list that you just provided us.
See, it's good. All right. Um, Detox. I'm going to carefully define what I mean by this because, again, it's a word that has been used and abused to equate with like really ascetic diets and fasts and things that punish your body, all for serving this idea of body hatred, and like your body is not perfect and whole unto itself. You need to always be fixing something, right? And that is not what I mean. That is not what I mean. I am literally talking about removing toxins from your home, from your body care, from your cleaning supplies, from the things that you bring in to your home, like appliances and cookware and furniture. Um, uh, it's not a surprise at how much autoimmune, neurological, and cancers have increased in the last 50 years, because it corresponds directly with all of the petrochemicals that we've created, and surround us now. So, for example, furniture. You bring in a new sofa. It is usually treated with a stain guard, right? That is a carcinogen. It is an endocrine disruptor. Um, if you're going to buy a new piece of furniture, it is worth investigating, because it is an investment, right? They cost a lot of money. It is worth looking for companies that do not do that as a practice. You don't want to bring that into your home because it off gases the whole time, like for years. So you're breathing it in. Cookware, right? So the cookware that I have in my house is either stainless steel, cast iron. I have some Pyrex, and some ceramic, right? Like ceramic pie dishes and whatnot. Nothing that has a coating, nothing. Because honestly, we all know kind of about Teflon now, and that's the cheap stuff. But now they're coming out with all these other like non-stick coatings, but they're not required to tell you what's in it, right? And honestly, if they're not going to tell me, I'm not going to buy it. If if it's not harmful, why wouldn't you tell us? Like, yeah, it's a proprietary system or whatever. They don't want people copying them, but honestly, they've already patented it. So that's kind of a weird argument to make. So cast iron can be nonstick, right? I have seasoned cast iron skillets that I cook eggs in, and nothing sticks, because I take care of my cast iron, and it's actually good for me as opposed to bad for me. So, yeah, they're heavy. I use two hands lifting them out of the cabinet. And I really wish I had a pot rack so that I could just lift it up instead of digging around in a cabinet, but that's a totally different story. Sorry for derailing the thing. But so the things that you bring into your home matter. The appliances that you bring in should not have nonstick coatings. So that goes for bread makers, waffle irons, uh, any of those little appliances, and also washer and dryers. Do the research before you make a major investment. You're bringing something into your home that's going to be there for years. Same with your car. If you're going to buy a new car, tell them not to treat the upholstery. Just don't. If you're ordering it because you want a custom color, well, tell them not to do the seats. Cleaning supplies. Our cleaning supplies are not clean in this country. The only cleaning supplies you truly need are baking soda, white vinegar, maybe some scrubbies, right? Like brushes and sponges. You don't need a whole lot. There are all these chemicals out there. And I encourage you, there's a link here on this page, ewg.org, to enter any product that you have in your home and see what ranking it gets, because chances are it has stuff that is bad for you in it. When we buy ready-made products like toilet bowl cleaner, okay, so one kind of cleaning product for one kind of thing in your home, it's not necessary. Just dump some baking soda in there, scrub it out, and you're done. Flush it. Um, but these toilet bowl cleaners, they're encased in plastic. We need to remove plastic from our lives. Plastic is bad for us. It is not just bad for the environment. We are the environment. We are a microcosm of what else is out there. And those microplastics are in the environment, and they are inside our bodies, and they are making us sick. The more you can remove plastic from your life, the better off you're going to be. And I know that is hard. We live in the United States. Everything's packaged in plastic. So how do we avoid buying things packaged in plastic? Well, you can buy produce bags that are reusable. They're like little nets, right? So that plastic is gone. You bring your own bags to the supermarket. You buy in bulk instead of buying, a handful of things that are already encased in plastic. It means making different life choices and creating new patterns, which I know is hard. I know it. But it isn't impossible. It's just hard. Um, but what we're doing when we make those choices, and what I remind myself of when I'm annoyed that I have to go out and get this thing that's further away because that's the best thing for me in the long run, is that I'm choosing myself. I'm choosing my well being and my health and the health of my family over what is convenient, because that is how they got us. That is how they got so much plastic into our lives, right? Convenience, comfort, ease. It's it's a seductive thing to be able to just run down to the corner and grab the thing wrapped up in plastic, or to buy the cheaper product, the cheaper lotion that comes in the big plastic bottle. Yeah, it's easier, totally. But it's not as good for us. And it contributes to microplastics in our body, which are carcinogens. So we can't control everything out there in the world and the environment, but what we can control is what we bring in to our homes and what we take in and put on our bodies. So I encourage you to do the research, look at your body care products, look at your cleaning products, and when you're about to make a big purchase, do the research. And this particular website gives you resources on all of that stuff. There are a whole bunch of consumer guides that you can read to find out what they recommend and what they don't recommend. They make it really easy. They also have a really great consumer guide on all the different municipalities in the United States and their water supplies, and whether you should filter your water or not. So those are really helpful. All right. Detox is a huge topic that I do on its own for 2 hours. So we're going to move on to supplements. First, supplements that are not herbs, right? There are lots of supplements that you can use to restore balance in your life, minerals and vitamins and amino acids and essential fats that a lot of times our denatured food does not provide to us anymore. Big agriculture has stripped the soil of its nutrients, and therefore the plants that are grown in it need a lot of chemicals to even grow as big as they do and to produce fruit, and that fruit isn't as nutritious. So often we need to supplement, or get to know your farmer, go to the farmer's market, get stuff that, they have built up the soil. They've done the composting work and they're building the soil and they're providing those nutrients to those plants and therefore to you. But all of these supplements that are not herbs are beneficial to you when you are on the road to recovery. They help build new cells. That's what your diet should be doing. It should be helping you to rapidly build healthy replacement cells, right? As the bad ones die off, as cancer treatment has killed off some of them, it's also killed off some of your good cells. So we need to rebuild. And I have a list of suggestions in a subsequent slide. But these things are supplements that are not herbs. And that link on the bottom is my dispensary, which is highly discounted professional grade supplements. You don't have to use it, but it is helpful. And the nice thing is if you have any dietary restrictions, let's say you can't do dairy, you can select for that. And so you're only going to see supplements that meet a specific criteria. Oh, I need kosher, for example. So this way, when you've done your research and you know what minerals and vitamins and probiotics that you need, you can get them here. I'm happy. I do this for all my students and all of my clients, right? It's just something that I offer because they can get so expensive. Yeah.
Lily, before you move on, we did have a question in the chat. It's a confirmation question about the detox. A cast iron pan replaces non-stick for vegetable stir fry.
Yeah, absolutely. Or a wok. We have a really nice wok. And I have an electric stove, like one of those flat ones, but I can still use a wok because the little ring that sits on the electric mechanism heats up my wok, right? I use a wok for stir fries, and I use cast iron for almost everything else. Every time I cook, I'm pretty much using cast iron. Um, but yeah, even the delicate things like frying an egg, cast iron's great for that.
And then she followed up with, didn't realize wok is accessible. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of them are steel. At least mine is. And so, if you don't buy one of those Americanized electric woks and you're just getting a real wok that sits on a ring and it is heated that way, yeah, they're usually steel. Okay. So herbs and plants in general, and also fungus, they have cancer fighting phytochemicals in their cells. Um, and when you're looking at constituents within the plant, the phytochemicals, polysaccharides, those are anti-cancer, anti-tumor. All of these different phytochemicals present in these plants can help you restore your system. And so I listed a few of them here, but I have another page. Again, uh, all of these are beneficial. Turkey tail, in particular, has been studied quite a lot with breast cancer recovery. And there is a fantastic TED Talk on YouTube. If you Google turkey tail breast cancer TED Talk, the person that is giving the talk is Paul Stamets. He's a mycologist. He's actually the world's most foremost mycologist, and his company provides medicinal mushrooms for lab studies to like Bastyr University and things like that. Anyway, he cured his mom from stage 4 breast cancer. She gets up on the stage at the end. It's like there's not a dry eye in the house. She's in her 80s and very frail. And he worked with her. And the thing that he did was give her high doses of turkey tail. Um, the plants are there for a reason. The plants help us, plants and fungus. When I say plants, I mean all of it, right? In herbalism, we use fungus as well as plants. Um, Honestly, there is a plant for every set of symptoms, every underlying condition. I believe that. Um, and yeah, so those are some that, overall, for most people that are recovering from cancer, all of these are really great choices. And here are some specific herbal actions for recovery. So, immunomodulation is when it helps your immune system make better choices. So, with cancer and with autoimmune disease, the body is attacking itself, right? Reishi, shiitake, and mistletoe, all of those are immunomodulators. They help the immune system make better choices so that it can readily identify what is me and what is not me. And I'm going to put a little disclaimer in here. If you decide to seek any of these, I really, really want you to work with a practitioner, right? Some of these are toxic in higher doses, and you don't necessarily know what's a high dose for you. So please, if you decide to, go the herbalist route, definitely, you don't have to work with me. I can recommend others, but work with someone who can oversee your case management and make sure that your dosages are appropriate for you, your body, whatever pharma you're on, all of that, right? Like a good herbalist is going to go through all of that. So, I mean, that's what an immunomodulator is. Anti-inflammatories, right? When we are ill or injured, the inflammation response flares up in our body. It can cause a lot of pain. Well, turmeric mixed with black pepper is a safe tonic for you to take on the regular. So I've been drinking my coffee here. I have golden milk in my coffee every day. I get a dose of turmeric, black pepper, and ginger in my coffee every day. I don't know what it tastes like without those spiciness, but that's what I do. Um, I also put in like a scoop of my mushroom coffee blend in there too, because it's good for me. But anti-inflammatory is super important when we're living with pain. Anti-angiogenesis, Coriolis is a really great herb to help stop the production of cancer cells. If you've got cancer that is just reproducing, 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 Coriolis is really helpful. But again, work with someone who can do case management and work with your oncologist. Antioxidants, milk thistle also has the benefit of helping to build liver tissue back up faster. It's the only organ that can regenerate, and milk thistle can help it go faster. Turmeric, again, turmeric is amazing. Everybody should eat turmeric, eat some Indian food. It's yummy. Nausea, one of the side effects of being sick and also getting treatment is nausea. And so taking the kind of herbs that are called carminatives in herbalism, super helpful, mints and ginger and chamomile, lemon balm, all of those herbs help to calm the stomach, also help with gas and bloating if that is a side effect of your treatment. Um, just really calming, sipping a tea can be as simple as sipping a tea. And if you don't like hot tea, make an iced tea, right? Make a sun tea, keep it in the fridge and just sip on that. If you are going through it, there's no need to suffer, right? Like just make a batch of tea and keep it at the ready. For stress, um, we have a couple different kinds of herbs that can be helpful for stress. Tulsi, which is also called holy basil, is what we call an adaptogen in herbalism. It isn't sedating the way that passion flower or valerian are, because those are nervine sedatives. Um, but it is fortifying and it does help calm. And actually, one of the things that I like to do when I am super stressed out is drink a tea of Tulsi and rose petals and Tulsi leaves. It's like a hug in a cup, I tell you. It is very calming, very comforting. And passion flower and valerian are nervine sedatives. They are really great for anxious type of stress, right? Not depressive kind of stress, but anxious type of stress. Calms everything down. Nutritives, things that help give you more nutrition. Because as I mentioned before, our food supply has been denatured. The soil, the water, they just don't have the fodder that is needed to grow healthy plants to give you the nutrition that you need. Agriculture has just stripped the land of all of that. So nettles, stinging nettles, wild stinging nettles, raspberry leaf, catnip, all of these things have really high mineral and vitamin content that you can put in food, you can make as a tea. All of these things really help. And if you've had a cancer of the blood, like leukemia, blood building herbs like ironweed, tulsi, and stinging nettles are your friends. They can totally help you to build up those red blood cells again, and get you back on the path of blood that actually can do its job of delivering nutrients to the rest of your body. Give you more energy in the long run because your body is able to do that work. So,
Lily, before you go on to the building your wellness team, we did have a question in the chat. Going
sure.
back to cast iron, do you have any tips for seasoning a new cast iron pan?
Yeah, so the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to coat it in a neutral oil, and you don't want any puddles, right? You don't want it to move, like to pool when you turn it, but enough that it's glistening on all sides of it. And you're going to put it in a hot oven, like 450 degrees for like an hour. Then you're going to let it naturally cool down. And you're going to have to do that a couple times to build your base coat. But the main thing about cast iron is that when you care for it, you're not scrubbing the crap out of it so that you're taking that coating back off. And also, highly acidic foods will require you to season it again because the acidity of the food will start taking away that coating. So, cooking something with a bunch of tomatoes in your cast iron can cause the seasoning to come out. So re-seasoning it after that. Just maintenance. The thing about cast iron is it gets you in the habit of taking care of your things, right? It's not just a set it and forget it kind of thing. You have a relationship with your cast iron and you're evaluating it. And if you see at some point, like, oh, I set this in the dish drainer to dry, and when I picked it up, I see like a little bit of rust that has formed. Oh, this needs to be reseasoned now. It happens. People reseason their cast iron all the time, but I'll tell you, when you do, it's a lifetime investment, something you're going to be passing on to children and grandchildren, because those things last forever as long as you take care of them. And I have also seen very satisfying YouTube videos of people buying a terribly rusty piece of cast iron that looks like it's worthless and restoring it to its glory. So it is a lifetime investment.
And what would you consider a neutral oil?
Like sunflower or canola or something that doesn't have a lot of taste to it. Olive oil has a really low smoke point. You're going to want something with a higher smoke point, like grapeseed. Um, Something neutral that doesn't have a lot of flavor and has a higher smoke point, because you're going to be baking it in the oven for an hour or so. So you're going to want it not to smoke up your house. Yeah. And there are YouTube videos. Go to YouTube University on cast iron seasoning, and you will get lots of great tips. Yeah. All right. So, building your wellness team. We can't do this alone. We just can't, right? That's why I love cancer support community, because all of a sudden you're not alone, right? You get to be in a class with other people, you get to become friends with other folks who are going through it with you. Um, so important. So when you're building your wellness team, some things to consider is being able to figure out what your wellness goals are. You need to be clear in what you want so that you can ask it from other people, and build a team that's going to support you and your goals, right? And if you're working with a practitioner who is telling you that your goals are not what they should be, either you need to reassess your goals and listen to that person and figure out why they're saying that. But if it doesn't make sense to you, seek a second opinion and maybe work with a different practitioner. Because honestly, not every doctor is for every person, just like not every diet is for every person. Think about your wellness goals, and they can be simple, like in the next month I want to be able to walk to the end of the block and back without being winded, right? Like that's a very simple goal, but honestly, like sometimes that's where you start. Um, so all of your team should be supporting you, be communicated with about what your goals are, and helping you to achieve those goals and not standing in your way. And they should play well with others, because everybody on your team needs to work together to help you in your recovery. Your well-being should always be the goal of your wellness team, right? You know, uh, I go back to acupuncture school with that guy who thought a low-fat vegan diet was for everybody, right? And he was going to push it on everybody. And he was in so ego driven in being right about his belief system that he would not be able to treat someone with diet recommendations that would work for them. And it was concerning. Like he had some failed assignments. He really did. Because the teachers were trying to say, like, this is not going to work. This is not how you go about helping someone. Um, you know, and yes, they're trying to help you, but they're also caught up in their own little story. And while they're trying to care for you, maybe it's not the right kind of care. Your well being and your goals should be the goal of everybody on your team. You need to be communicative about what your needs are. And sometimes that can be hard, right? We feel like we're asking too much of people or asking too often. But here's the thing, this is your time. You are going through something that is really intense and, overwhelming. This is your time. You get to ask now, because eventually everybody is going to be in a position where they have to ask. And then you get to be part of someone's team then. But this is yours, right? Center yourself. I know that can be difficult, particularly for women, particularly for sick people. But let me tell you, put yourself first. You know that when you go on an airplane ride and they tell you, okay, the masks fall down, you put it on yourself first, and then you help the person next to you, even if it's a child. You have to be able to breathe before you can help somebody else breathe. So be communicative about your needs and definitely put it out there and ask. Um, be clear about what it is that you want. Do you just need a ride? Do you want someone to talk to or listen to you? Do you need meals delivered? Like, be clear and ask. And, if someone's stressing you out, politely decline their existence in your life for a while. Honestly, you need your energy for getting better. You don't need to be managing other people, right? This is your time. All those other people should be managing those other people. You don't need to do that. And I know that Cancer Support Community has like a online scheduler thing. If you have needs, you need meals delivered, or you need a ride somewhere, like they have software that can help you organize that, and you can find somebody on your team willing to coordinate all of that for you. Super valuable, super valuable. So some resources: Cancer Support Community, of course. Haven Herbs, that's my little herbal apothecary. We have ready-made stuff. If you want to get non-toxic sunscreen or bug spray for the summer, because those things are, yeah, don't buy the store-bought ones, man. Don't do it. We have those. Me, I do case management. I work with others pretty well. And I also teach classes. And then a link to describing what Vipassana meditation is and how you can find resources in your community. Those things are super important. And again, happy to help you find other types of mindfulness. And so is Cancer Support Community. They can totally help you find what you need. Don't ever hesitate to ask for help, right? That's the main thing. When you are in recovery and spending a lot of your energy and time getting better, and that includes the sleep that you need, the extra sleep, don't feel bad about that. Get professional help. I can help, your doctor can help, Cancer Support Community can help. Ask, reach out, and get your needs met. Yeah. And that's me. That's my email.
Lily, we have a question. Is Haven Herbs in a store or is it online?
It's both online and in some stores. So in Columbus area, the folks that have carried us in the past and probably still have stock. I don't do the wholesale part, so forgive me if I misspeak, but Clintonville Natural Foods, Bexley Natural Market, both of those carry the most in the Columbus area. We are working with some other folks that will be carrying different things. Like there's a place where my old apothecary used to be that's going to start carrying our bulk teas, for example. They want teas. But yeah, you can always get everything online at havenherbs.com. And if you're ever in Bridgeport, West Virginia, we have a storefront that carries the entire thing. Yeah.
And I have to say, from a personal perspective, the Haven Herbs website, as well as the link that Lily gave you for the full, I'm sorry, I don't have the name memorized. Those are very user-friendly websites. I've been on both and have used both.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me stop my share here real quick. All right. I don't even know what time it is. Oh, we're over. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's okay. We started a little bit late. Darlene did ask, she said that the link for the meditation was not working. So we will, when we send this out, there'll be that information. As Lily mentioned, you will be receiving her presentation. So you'll have that information. And sorry, Darlene, that link didn't work, but I'm sure that you could just probably find that online.
I'll check the link before I do it, but often you can't click on the links while I'm presenting because you don't have the actual document. But when you get the document, the link should work, and I will make sure just to be sure.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Lily, we do thank you. And we're sorry for keeping you and others a little bit after 10 o'clock, but I did want to put a plug for July 23rd. Lily will be back with us for the Natural Living Workshop, and she's going to be talking about gut health is whole body health. So when she was talking earlier about how gut health is like the start, that is a perfect tie-in for our July session. So if you'll have Lily's contact information. You are more than welcome to reach out to her or reach out to me, and we will see if we can get you the help that you need. But we appreciate everybody coming and joining again. And Lily, as always, thank you so very much for your time, for your expertise, and just sharing the wealth of knowledge that you carry with yourself. We are greatly appreciative.
Well, thank you. And it's always a pleasure to hang out with cancer support community folks.
Thank you so much. Bye bye.
Bye bye, everybody.